We want to talk about comparing fractions and mixed numbers as we work our way through objective 1 and 6 for the first 6 weeks. We're still looking at objective 8.1a and 8.1b. With 8.1a, we still compare and order rational numbers in various forms. 8.1b asks us to select and use appropriate forms of rational numbers to solve real-life problems. Now, what do we need to know? Well, we've already looked at first week or two of school how we compare and order integers. Now, we just want to take a quick look at how we compare and order fractions as well as mixed numbers. So we need to know what a least common denominator as far as our vocabulary, and a least common denominator, also known as LCD, of two or more fractions is the least common multiple of the denominator. So we talked about least common multiple in our last segment. We also got a good look at it in class. So remember, the least common denominator is the same as the least common multiple of the denominators, and you can compare fractions by using the least common denominator to write what else? Equivalent fractions. Okay, let's take a look at a good example. Okay, so we have an example, and the example asks us to compare It asks us to compare 3/8 and 5/12. So, step 1, we need to find the least common multiple of the denominator. Okay, step 1, we need to find the least common multiple of the denominator. Okay, so again, we can start by finding the LCM, least common multiple of 8 and 12. So again, if we use 8 first, we have 8, 16, 24, 32, 40. Okay, we'll stop there. For 12, we have 12, 24, 36, 48, and 60. Well, if we look closely right here, we will see that 8 has a multiple of 24 as well as 12, and this will be our least common multiple and also our least common denominator. So again, step 1, we need to find the least common denominator, and we just did. Okay, so we found our least common denominator, which is 24. Well, how do we work from there? So we'll find the least common denominator. Our example is 24. Alright, step 2, use the least common denominator to write equivalent fractions. So step 2, okay, you want to use the least common denominator to write equivalent fractions. Well, let's do that. We have 3/8 and to get 24 we need to see where did we go. This is 1, 2, 3. So we have to, if this is 8 times 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 and times 5, so this is 8 times 3. So we would say that in order to get our equivalent fraction, we will multiply both top and bottom. Remember what we said when we were working with it, that we're going to multiply both top and bottom times 3. Okay, this will give us 3 times 3 is 9 and 8 times 3 is 24. Okay, so now let's take a look at 5 and 12. Okay, so 5 and 12, we see here, this is actually 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, and this is 5 for 12. So to get 24, we multiply 12 times 2. So now we can say that this will be 5 over 12 and multiply both denominator and numerator by 2, and that will give us 10 over 24. So now step 3, step 3 says we need to compare only the numerators. We need to compare the numerators. Okay, so we're comparing the numerators, and our numerators are 9 and 10. So now we need to see, since we are comparing, which is greater. So we can use our greater than sign, which is like that, or we can use our less than sign, which is like that, and we can do so and make the comparison. So we can say, using this, that 9 is less than 10, or 10 is greater than 9. So all we have to do now is put them in fashion by saying 9 over 24 is less than 10 over 24, or we can just simply say 3/8 is less than 5 over 12. Okay, final answer. Well, I have some bonus questions that I need you to work, so we can, take a look at your progress. I am going to do this periodically, so mainly to see who's actually watching, who deserves the participation points, and moreover, what is your progress as you really watch these videos. So I have 8 problems. I need you to compare and order. First problem reads 2/3 and 5/8. I need you to compare it. So here you're going to tell me if 2/3 is greater or less than 5/8. The second is 2/4 and 15/20. You want to tell me how 2/4 relates, if it's greater or less than. Then you have 3/10 and 2/4. Again, you want to tell me if 3/10 is greater or less than, and so forth. Now, it is to your advantage to work the problems the way we worked them in the video. That is, finding the least common multiple or the least common denominator, and let's try to keep from literally just guessing or work the problem in our heads without making some type of conjecture. Okay, so work on them, and again, if you choose, and definitely I would make that choice, bring them to class and let's discuss them in class and see, can you get something. Well, we've taken a look at comparing fractions, so let's see how we deal with it if we are actually comparing mixed numbers or improper fractions. Well, to compare these two, you must first write the mixed number as an improper fraction, and then you pretty much go through the same process as you did with just comparing fractions, which is finding the least common denominator. So let's take a look. So example 2. Example 2. And let's say we have 5 and 9/16. And 11 halves and 45 eighths. And let's compare them from least, well, yeah, let's do least to greatest. Okay, from least to greatest. Well, it seems like this will be a little elongated, but we don't mind. So we have to do the same thing. We have to make sure that we find the least common multiple or least common denominator out of all the fractions. But first, we must change. We have this mixed number, so we must change this mixed number into an improper fraction. How do we do that? We have 5 wholes and 16 is our denominator. So let's take 16 and multiply it times 5. And here we'll get 0. 5 times 1 is 5. And 3 is 8. So we get 80 there. And we'll add the numerator, which is 9, and we'll get 89. So this fraction becomes 89 over 16. And then we also want to look at, again, 11 halves, and we want to look at 45 over 8. Okay, so let me go ahead and make some more room for us here. Remember what I did to get the improper fraction. Okay, so we made a little room, and let's go to work from there. Okay. Put a different color on here. So 16, 8, and 2. So let's start with 2 and find our multiples. So 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 4 is 8. Then we have 2 times 5, which is 10. We have 2 times 6, which is 12. 2 times 7, which is 14. And of course 2 times 8, which is 16. 2 times 9, which is 18. And 2 times 10, which is 20. Let's go with 8. We have 8, 16, we have 24. No, wait a minute. Look what I see. I see a 16 and a 16, and then here's the denominator of 16. So I can now understand what my actual, so 16s will be 16 times 1, which is 16, and that's pretty much as far as we need to go, because here now we have found our least common denominator, which is 16. So all we got to do now is take them and make them equivalent. So let's keep this here for just a second so we can see what we have with 11 over 2 and how to make that equivalent. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if we multiply 11 over 2 times 8, both numerator and denominator, we will get 88 over 16. Well, let's do the same for 45 over 8. And that's going to equal, if we look at that, that's twice. That's 2. Yeah, 1, 2, twice. So we will have 45 over 8 times 2, both numerator and denominator, and that's going to give us 90 over 16. Okay, so, and then this will be 89 over 16 times 1. So we're good. So now all we have to do is literally set them up and compare them. Really hope you guys are taking these notes, because we will definitely review them by way of a test. So let's take a good look. So now we have 5 and 5/9, which is 89 over 16. So we'll just go ahead and put it here. And we're just going to simply compare our denominators, and they say from least to greatest. So we're comparing 89, we're comparing 88, 90, and 89. What's the least number? Well, of course, 88. So from least to greatest, 88 over 16. Then of course 89 over 16. And last 90 over 16. And that's the way they're set up from least to greatest. Now we can also go back and use, and for most part this is what we will have. We could go back and literally use our numbers, and we can say that the least number will be 11 over 2. Then the second least number will be 5. And 9 over 16. And of course, our greatest number will be 45 over 8. So either way, these are from least to greatest. Okay, make sure you follow the steps and find the least common multiple. And if it's a mixed number, you must be able to transform this mixed number first into an improper fraction, and then go from there. So hang on for a minute. We will definitely put up you some problems and let you work those problems and bring them into me for a gift. See you soon.